สวัสดีครับยินดีต้อนรับครับ Welcome back to another coding session with Spot Skills วันนี้จะต่อไปจากครั้งที่แล้วเราทำให้ส่วนนี้ดูแบบนี้ครับ We made it more responsive we made it easier to be able to look at these items เรา explore grid แล้วก็ระหว่าง flex และ grid และวันนี้เราจะตั้งใจบนส่วนนี้ครับถ้าเกิดว่าเราใช้ zoom in ข้างในนี้เราจะเห็นว่าโอ้ยดูไม่ดีครับอันนี้ text อยู่ข้างด้านขวาเร็วกันไปเลย image นี้ขนาดไซส์ใหญ่กันไปเลยเราจะแก้ปัญหานี้กับ grid และ flex ใช้ทั้งสองวิธีครับจะแสดงว่าใช้ทั้งสองวิธีอย่างไรครับ flexbox และ grid ทั้งสองด้วย so what we're going to do is stack these images on top of each other and get rid of this little arrow and then we'll start to look like this. We'll also introduce some intricacies with padding, and it's going to look a little weird, so we're going to fix up some padding inside here, so when we go responsive, we'll be able to see that padding might have a bit of an issue here when we start to calculate the width of these items. So let's get into it. So ตอนนี้ผมรู้ว่า content source ของนี้ครับ about offer content. So ครั้งที่แรกผมอยาก copy นี้เลยจะใส่ข้างในนี้ and I want to change this up. First we're going to do flex and then we'll do grid. So the flex way to do this is display flex. Actually, before we do that, we should see what we have first in here. และตอนนี้ดูแบบ flex แล้วครับ so we can redefine it, doesn't matter, but we're already at a display flex and justify content center, which is fine. แต่ข้างในนี้ไม่ต้อง display flex แค่จำเป็นต้องเปลี่ยนไปdirection ทางของนี้ตอนนี้ทางของนี้คือ row เราอยากเปลี่ยนถึง column. So what can we do? We can do a flex direction and we can say column. Save that. And now automatically we get the image above the arrow, above the text. Cool. All right, we're getting in the right direction. Awesome. Okay, so what do we want to do now? ครั้งที่แรกผมจะลบ arrow ผมจะ hide arrow นี้ครับ so what I'm going to do is actually before that I'm going to do a text align center. There we go. At least everything lines up in the center now, and I'm going to then take care of the arrow that we have here. So about offer arrow, and I'm going to just do a display none. And once we do a display none, cool, the arrow goes away. Now we have a little bit of an alignment problem. อันนี้ไม่เท่ากันกับ alignment ครับเราจะแก้ปัญหานั้นครับ so first and foremost, what happens in flex when I calculate the width of these items is it includes the padding. so ข้างในนี้มี padding ข้างๆนี้ในสีเขียวมีสีฟ้าข้างในระหว่างและข้างนอกมีสีเขียวข้างนอกสีฟ้านั่นคือ padding. I want to remove that padding because unfortunately padding is really tricky with CSS. And so when I remove that padding, then we'll be able to calculate the size properly. Otherwise, padding does not get included in flex calculation, and we'll end up with something looking really weird like we have right now. So even if I did in here, let's just try and say align items center. Oops, align items center. Cannot type right now. Align items center. They still won't come in the center. They still come just a bit offset from each other because of the padding differential. So if I do this, I'm going to get rid of the padding, about offer right side or right, and I'm just going to do padding. Actually, make sure I have the right element first. And there we go. So I have the right element, and I'm going to just do a padding none or padding 0. And then we have this element is now smaller. So something's really weird. I can't get these two to be in line with each other. What I want to do is keep the padding 0, but force the size to be the same. So I want about offer left image. And I want to set the width here to, let's just say for right now, 50%. And I'm going to set the width here to width of 50% and see what happens. So now they're both thinner and they are of the same width. I'm going to add in the padding again and just say the padding of what it was. What is the padding up here? So the padding is about 50 pixels on the left, 30 pixels on the right. So I'm going to add that back in and we'll see the difference in width when it comes back. So when we do that, now we see that the padding got taken into account. This side is slightly less wide, or they're not as equal as they should be. So padding is really, really tricky. I just wanted to show you the padding and show you how tricky that can be. And so what we want to do is eliminate the padding on the inside. And instead, what we want to do is use margin inside. So when you're playing around with the pre-setup, think about padding, think about margin. It's up to you on how you want to do this. แล้วแต่คุณใช้ padding และ margin อย่างไรครับแต่ถ้าเกิดว่าเราเปลี่ยนไปถึง responsive เราควรเห็นว่า padding จะเปลี่ยนไปสถานที่ or situation สถานการณ์ของเราถ้าเกิดว่าเราอยากใช้ flex หรือใช้ grid ผมจะแสดงว่า grid ดูอย่างไรครับ so now we have a flex system here and they're in line okay. And we can straighten out all the other text inside here. And let me do that real quick. So about, and I'm going to make the width here 70%, so it's a little more room to work with. But give me just a moment. And now we're at 70%. It looks pretty decent. And I can keep it all that way. But I'm going to change about some things real quick. Title. I am going to give this some margin on the inside. But what I want to do first is change the text alignment here. And I'm going to do a text align left first. And then I'm going to do a margin left of about 30 pixels. And we'll see that look come over, shift that way. And we're going to do the same thing with the subheading. And right subheading, margin left 30 pixels. And we'll do that again for the paragraph, about right para. Now I can stack all three of those on the same line and we'll be okay to go. So if I wanted to do this, Control C, whoops. If I want to do a Control X, copy and paste, and a Control X, copy and paste, I can stack ทางหนึ่งสายได้ครับและลบทั้งสองนี้ได้ครับ so I can get rid of all of that and I'll still have the exact same look and feel so I don't have to have as much typing. So that makes it a little bit easier. And on my about offer content, I am going to stick in a margin here of margin on top and bottom of 30 pixels or maybe even 50 pixels on the top and bottom. Auto. On the left and right I want 0. And so now I have this space above and I have this space below, very similar to having the space above here and the space below here. So what I can do also is set a margin in between these two, or I can just do a column gap, or sorry, that's for grid items. Actually column gap of 50 pixels, and that should be able to get me, oh, wrong command, sorry. I can do a margin top here, and that'll get me space between those two items. There we go. So now I have my image on top of this one. So what I'm going to do now is, this is our flex. What I'm going to do is change this all to grid, and we'll see the difference between the two. So I'm just going to comment out ผมจะแค่ comment out ทั้ง4 line นั้นครับและเปลี่ยนไปถึง display. Actually, let me just reset it all so we see everything. The arrow ผมจะแค่ลบแล้วครับถ้าเกิดว่าอยากเห็นว่า original. So the arrow is back and the image is also back. That way, is this is the original look. I'm going to put in the width of the image again, and I'm going to put in the arrow again, and then we have this. Now I'm just going to display grid. And now with my grid, display as a grid template columns, 1 FR. So this is the default. It'll take up one image, will take up the whole width of the thing, and then that's it. I just want one image on the line. And that's it. Now I have both of them stacked together, and now I can do a margin 50 pixels and auto. And that should shove everything into the center once I do a text align center. And one thing that's not happening here is I need to add in a margin on that side. So this one I'm going to change into a margin of 50 pixels up top. I can get rid of this one and do a auto here. And why is that not? There we go. Then it moves that into the center. And we have something very similar to before. So I can also keep this one as a margin top of 50 pixels. And there we go. Now we have something very, very similar to what we had before. Why did I have to add margin here? Because in the text, it was not aligning the about offer right. over here, it was not putting the div contents in the center, so I just had to put this in the center, and that's it. So now I've got this one stacked very similar to this one. And that is it. We did both flex and we did grid. So just remember that if we're going to do grid, then we can keep the margin with the grid or the flex items. Otherwise, we have to add it into the item itself down below, and I can do that as well. And there we go. And that's it. I probably need to add in the margin. Why is that space not coming in there now? Let's do this. Margin top 50 pixels. There we go. And there we are. So we have the same exact look and feel as before, either display either in the grid or in the flex. So hopefully today that was helpful. ถ้าเกิดว่ามีคำถามทำได้ข้างใน Facebook หรือข้างใน YouTube page ของเราครับและถ้าเกิดว่าอยากเห็นอะไรอื่นๆแค่จำเป็นต้องเขียนข้างใน comment เราจะพยายามสอนคุณอยากเรียนอะไรครับ so hopefully today was helpful, and if you want any more lessons, or if you had any questions on this one, or if we made a mistake and you want to see some more information, let us know, and we're more than happy to correct what we did wrong, or if you want to see something new, just give us a heads up, and we're more than happy to teach that. เจอกันครั้งหน้าครับ see you next time, bye